No.
Time now to visit the doctor. The clocks go back at the weekend, long nights, and we're going to find out. You may feel there's a harmful effect. You may feel that this S.A.D. syndrome exists or not. Dr Ranj is here to tell us if it does, if you feel it does exist.
Well, S.A.D, or seasonal affective disorder, is a type of depression that happens on a seasonal basis, so it's a recurrent thing. Most commonly, it happens in the winter. So this time of year, people find that their mood changes, their appetite, sleep gets disturbed. They've experienced various different things, but it can happen at other times of year as well. It all probably happens, that's what it kind of gets called the winter blues, but we all get the winter blues to some extent. But for a small proportion of people, their symptoms are so bad that it affects their ability to function on a day-to-day basis. And that's when it's diagnosable as a disorder, and that's when we diagnose it as S.A.D.
Because there are some in the medical profession who dispute it, don't they? They say it's just coincidence and that it's probably a depression that goes through the year.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, as with a lot of I suppose, psychological, psychiatric conditions, you know, there's research on either side. So there has been a lot of research that says that actually the way we conduct these studies, we get people to try and remember when they've had depression, and that's subject to something we call recall bias, which makes it slightly inaccurate. Or when you look at, a lot of people think it's down to the effect of light, but when you look at where people live in terms of the latitude and whether they get it, it doesn't quite corroborate. However, the weight of the evidence, if you look at it in totality, suggests that S.A.D. does exist. For some people, it's really, really significant.
And for the people
those people
feeling
need
it,
help.
it's very real.
And there are people who feel it.
I feel it. I don't.
feels it.
I don't care for heat or whatever, but I like sunshine. I like blue skies. I like light, and you don't get a lot of it during winter. Right? Tell me about these devices.
Well, OK, these devices are kind of related to some of the, I suppose, things we think may cause S.A.D. So one of the theories is that it's down to light exposure and changes in light exposure. Now, daylight and how much we get affects various processes in our body. For example, our body clocks. It regulates certain, body functions, and it changes a level of sleep hormone, melatonin, and that affects your ability to sleep. So there's one theory that if you use light devices, it could help with symptoms of S.A.D. Now, NICE, the National Institute of Clinical Excellence, says that there's not a huge amount of evidence for these, but you could try it if you wanted to. We've got one here. This is the S.A.D. Solutions lamp, and essentially all you do is turn it on, and you sit in front of it between 30 minutes to an hour every morning, and some people find that helps. We have another...
It's very bright. Are you supposed to look into it? Or
you
just...
need to sit in front of it.
Right.
So you don't necessarily have to look right at it.
Ruth's right that it
really
is very bright.
me.
Do I
It
look
is
better
very
in
bright.
that light?
Oh, I look quite nice.
Do I
Leave
look more
that.
Halloween-y?
Oh, hello.
Yeah, you know you do.
Well, that'll cost you about £37.45.
Yes,
or
you
you
have
could
great
have
fun with that.
something like this, which is the Lumi alarm clock from John Lewis, and this gradually wakes you up to the right kind of light.
I quite like the idea of that. So an alarm clock is so... It jolts you awake, doesn't it?
So I sleep with my curtains open purely because I need that light to wake me up. This is a lot more expensive. It's about £199. And as I said, NICE says there's not a huge amount of evidence behind it.
Yes.
But what they do say we should try is the usual treatments for depression as it would be otherwise. So make sure you pay attention to lifestyle measures. So that's diet, sleep and exercise.
Because, Ranj, when you get to this time of the year, it's all too easy to seek comfort foods, I think.
Yes.
And sugar and carbs.
Well, that's part of the appetite disturbance. So pay extra attention to what you're eating because that does affect your mood as well. And if you're gaining weight, it may make you feel slightly worse. Pay attention to your exercise. So try and get outside.
I was going to say, is it important when there is daylight to get out into it?
As much as you possibly can.
Yeah.
Even
that
if
will
the
help
sky's
regulate your
grey,
body
even
clock.
if the sky's grey.
Absolutely. As much as you can get is really, really good.
15 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day.
More than that, if you can, at least 30, I would say. Try and get outside and do some physical activity. The other thing I would say is pay extra attention to your sleep. Try not to scrimp on it because sleep disturbance affects your mood and mental health as well. Obviously, if that's not working, you could try these, but there's not a great deal of evidence. If you're really, really struggling, see your GP. They will do an assessment and then they will decide whether you may require something like a talking therapy, like counselling or cognitive behavioural therapy.
What about tablets?
Or potentially medication if it's really,
Well, I'm thinking
really
of vitamin
necessary.
D. When there's no sunshine, your vitamin D levels go down.
So the relationship between vitamin D and various medical conditions, there's lots of research out there. It could affect your, risk of cancer, asthma, diabetes, obviously bone disease.
But it could mean that you might need antidepressants if you... are
yes,
really suffering.
exactly. There's not a huge amount of evidence between vitamin D and the way you're feeling necessarily, but if you think you're deficient, and most of us in the winter are deficient because we don't get enough of the right kind of sunlight. We're on a slightly different topic here. It's worthwhile supplementing your vitamin D levels to get at least 10 micrograms a day, and that's actually quite cheap.